Hi credit friends, this is Soraya and thank you so much for being here. So I'm in kind of a bit of a weird state right now with my creativity. I don't know if I'm in an ebb state. I don't know if I'm in a partial ebb state. I don't really know what's going on, and it's totally fine. Like, these things come and go. It is what it is. So basically what's going on is that I am obsessed with working in my Healing Ancestral Trauma art journal, but in conjunction with this, I'm doing a lot of shadow work. I'm doing a lot of journaling, and it's kind of really heavy and taxing, and obviously I'm delving into some really deep stuff. So other than working in this journal, I'm not terribly interested in a lot of other creative kind of projects or journals or whatever. Now, even though I do like going from journal to journal to journal, that is how I work. And I talked about this in another video, the cross-pollination of ideas. It's so important. But also too, right now, even though I did go from journal to project to project when I started off in my Healing Ancestral Trauma art journal, that's how I got a lot of ways of working, like with the adding of the collage and the cutout ladies and etc. Right now, in this phase of me working in it, I'm kind of just focused on that one journal, and that's okay. Like, there's no set rules for creativity, and the reason why I'm making this video is pretty much to just say, hey, wherever you are in your creative process, it is okay. Everybody is different, and every time might be different. Like, the next time I get into a flow state, it might be different than the last time I got into a flow state, etc. So basically all I'm doing is I am just playing around. And for me personally, a couple of months before I started my YouTube channel, and I talked about this before, I went through a period of 1.5 years where I didn't even paint. Like, my studio was closed, like the door was shut, and I didn't even come in here except to kind of, maybe retrieve something, but I just didn't even paint at all. And that is okay. That was a period where I just had to go through whatever I had to go through. And now it's a different kind of an ebb state where it's like, it's not as deep, I guess, as the one I went through. So it's just a little bit different, and I still show up to paint. It doesn't have to be anything great. Like, sometimes I'm just like, oh, I'm just gonna try out these colors, or I'm just gonna play, and I'm not like really worried about, oh, I'm making a background, I wonder what the end result is gonna be. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just kind of simply playing and being in beginner's mind, and just just being in the moment, I guess. And I'm not worried about anything. I just put some paints down that I thought, oh, these are pretty paints. They called out to me, and I'm just kind of making some marks. So you guys, I just wanted to share this. Elizabeth Gilbert, in her book Big Magic, she talked about one time when she was going through a creative ebb state, a dry spell, whatever it was, and it went on for quite a while, I do believe, and she took up gardening. So gardening is not anything like writing, obviously, and she very intentionally said she was going to do something that was different than writing. So she just immersed herself in gardening for, like I said, this went on for quite a while. So she started gardening, and it went on for a couple of years. She was having a hard time writing, etc., etc. But then what happened is, after, that time period, she actually ended up writing a book called The Signature of Things, where the main character was a botanist set in like the 18th century or something. I don't know, I didn't read the book. But my point is that, even though she didn't garden to write a book about it, that's just what kind of happened. And sometimes when you are not excited about anything, you just can't find the juice. What I would say is, then follow your curiosity. What are you curious about? It's kind of like breadcrumbs. You're just like, oh, this one thing just leads to another thing, and there's not any reason why you're doing it. Like, you're not doing it to get the juice, to get inspired. You're just following your curiosity. And sometimes those breadcrumbs that you follow, they're not going to lead to anything at all. They're just going to be, oh, I just followed it and that was that. But it's okay. Sometimes they are going to lead to something. They are going to lead to something that excites you, you know, the juice. And the way I look at it is anything at all that makes you excited and gives you that creative spark, that, oh my goodness, you know, anything at all that, you know, gives you that juice, like, yeah, do it, go for it, follow it. Like when my daughter was younger, she was interested in making dolls, like, you know, out of cardboard and just found materials, etc. So I actually took a doll class, a doll making class, and I used to make dolls with her. Now that didn't lead to anything, but I really loved it. It made me happy. You know, it was just me following my spark, my curiosity. Yeah, so I would just say, you know, follow what makes you happy. It doesn't have to lead to anything. Follow what you're curious about. Now this over here, you guys, is an art graph, and I really do love it. Actually, look at the beautiful marks that it makes. And look, you can actually dip it in water and look at that. It just gives you like really delicious marks. Ooh, now I do like that beautiful kind of gray stuff that happened there. Ooh, that's a beautiful gray, actually. So you guys, when I am in a high flow state, like I was, you know, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago, I was in a very high flow state. It was almost manic. When I'm in that kind of a state, I never think it's going to end. Like I always think, oh my God, I'm in this flow state. I've got so many ideas. I can't even keep up with it. And I just kind of have this feeling of boundless optimism, like it's never going to end. But then when I get in an ebb state, I have that exact same feeling, like it's never going to end. And then if I'm not careful, it can get to a very, like a depression almost, like, oh my God, like it's never going to end. I'm always going to be in this ebb state. So I have to really temper both of those, you know, feelings. I guess it's not so bad when you're in a flow state and you're optimistic and you think, oh, it's never going to end. I mean, you know, that's okay. But, you know, when I'm in my, ebb state and I just get this feeling like it's never going to end, that can be a little bit more difficult to navigate, and I have to be kind of careful about that. So I still paint, I still show up, but you know, like I said, for this piece here, like right here, I'm not doing anything. There's nothing going on. You know, I'm just experimenting. I'm just being present. I'm not like thinking, oh, like I have to make a background, blah, blah, blah. I'm not doing any of those things. I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm just, I don't know, just playing, being in beginner's mind. And a famous artist said, you know, inspiration finds me when I'm working. And I do believe in that. I do. So I still work when I am in an ebb state, but I also like seek out other things to do as well. But this here is just about playing. And I know we all go through our ebb states and our flow states, and it's different for everybody. Everybody has a different personality, different ways of working. So, yeah, this is just something that I tend to do. I still work. I still show up at my desk. But, you know, I'm just kind of more laid back about it, I guess. And another reason, even though I want to obsessively work in my Healing Ancestral Trauma art journal, another reason why I don't work in it like just nonstop is because just the way I tend to work, like I need to give things a minute to breathe. I need to do the cross-pollination of ideas and go from project to project. That's just kind of how I work best. So even though I do want to work in it nonstop, I'm not working in that journal nonstop. It just would not be kind of good for the process of me working. So yeah, I'm just trying to temper that as well. And, you know, maybe there'll be something that I do in this kind of playing spread right here that I can use in my Healing Ancestral Trauma art journal. Maybe, maybe not. That's not why I'm doing it. But, you know, you never know. So yeah. And actually, you know, there's lots of stuff that's going on that I really do like. Well, I don't know about lots, but there's some stuff anyways. Like, I do really love this art graph over here. Like, it really does make some really beautiful lines. And just gonna put some of this purple here. Another thing I do, you guys, when I'm kind of like, oh, I just don't feel the juice, is I have a lot of these books over here, which is just art books, but, you know, they have exercises, projects, whatever, and I'll just open up a random book and I'll say, hey, let me see if I want to try out one of those exercises. So anything that's gonna get you out of that kind of, I don't want to say, you know, I should take my words back on that, because I do believe that, you know, when we are in an ebb state, it's not something to be fixed. It's not something to get out of. But we can still tend to our creative fires. And, you know, sometimes it means taking a class, or, you know, reading a book, or going and doing something completely unrelated, like Elizabeth Gilbert when she took up gardening, or whatever it is. We can still tend to our creative fires, which is what I look at this, you know, whole kind of spread here. I'm just kind of like playing. It doesn't have to be anything. And I don't even know what I'm gonna label this video, you guys. It's probably just gonna be like a playing type of situation, because that's basically what I am doing. And playing is such an important part of creativity. Like, you shouldn't, everything shouldn't be like serious. That's my kind of approach anyways. Anyways, you guys, there's a lot of stuff going on here that, you know, is interesting to me. I'm curious about. I do like a few things, especially the art graph. But, you know, yeah, I still show up to work in my books, even when I'm in an ebb state. So if you've watched all the way to the end, thank you so much. And I'm sorry if I rambled on incessantly about all sorts of things, but I'll see you in my next video. Bye.